Glad to have Steve Denker back on from the Fast Times e-zine. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Barnes, how are you?
Good. We pledged to have you on once a month because we love the stuff you bring to the table. So what's going on this week in this crazy pop culture world?
Thank you. And Leslie and Cubby, great to see you guys as well.
Hey, you too.
I think we shared last time that each week the Fast Times focuses on a theme that we've all seen evolve over the past 35 years, and we're seeing it come back around again. And this week it's all about physical fitness. So
Really?
It's from aerobics and jazzercise through PX90 and CrossFit all the way to the Peloton and the Mirror. And some of the stories this week include fitness drones. And these drones are now your personal trainer just 10 feet away from you, keeping your pace while you're running through the park.
This sounds good on paper.
Sounds like a side business for you, Barnes.
Well, knowing a lot about drones, that technology has had that aspect to it for a while, where the drone would follow you and the drone would, go with your moves. But what about trees? And it seems like it would make your workout tougher because it's having to stop for this tree and stop for that pole and, all of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would think so too. Apparently, these drones will focus on something on your shirt, or perhaps it's something that's on your wrist, and they use that as their marker, and they can set the pace. But to your point, Barnes, what happens when you're running through a path near other people, and what if someone else is using one too? Does it turn around and start following the other person? So I think there's probably some work to be done here.
And then after your workout, that drone leaves, and the drone that delivers the pizza comes by.
I'm glad people are working out, though. A lot of my friends are using, they're Apple customers, so they're using that Apple app for fitness.
Well, right now, the fitness, it's got to be in the billions because you're getting it from all angles. And it's just like everything all of a sudden is a tool to help you with your workout, from, like you said, Leslie, to the watch and the apps on the watch, to now they're selling subscriptions to workout classes. So they're competing with like Peloton. It's like, who decides when an industry like that is just going to blow up?
And it wasn't too long ago when wearables were the biggest story, if you guys recall, between the watches and shirts that then monitored your blood pressure. So when you got back to your computer, you could see where your peak was on your run. It's just it continues to get to the next level.
It's all that weight we've gained.
Yeah.
During COVID.
Getting your e-zine, which I really do look forward to every week, and you can sign up at thefasttimes.net. Like, you talked about all these trends in exercising, and it's weird how everything does come full circle. Because remember in the 80s when Jane Fonda was killing it with those stupid VHS tapes. I mean, with her workouts. I mean, that was so, like, groundbreaking for the 80s. And then it just all but disappeared through the 2000s and beyond. And now we're right back.
Exactly. In fact, one of the other stories is a new series on Apple Plus called Physical. And it stars Rose Byrne, who you may recall, she was Helen in Bridesmaids. And she's a housewife in 1980s San Diego. And it's all about her discovering aerobics and starting to teach classes, and her personal journey of how she changes herself and the people around her through aerobics, through this sport that she finds. And it feels very much like the Jane Fonda workouts when you start watching and you see. Wow. And again, Apple Plus and Netflix, these guys do period pieces so well. I mean, you really feel like you're in the 80s, and it's like a Flash Dance meets Glow.
I mean, I said all that prior to you just saying that, not realizing there was something that's basically that.
Yeah.
Cubby, sounds like it's for you. You love the 80s.
I do love the 80s, and I do have some leg warmers, and I do have a lot of things
you look good
to tell you guys.
They're fuchsia. I remember you used to wear those all the time when you go to lunch. But Cubby, what's your workout? Because Cubby got on this kick a while back where he was like hardcore, you were dropping weight, you were doing all. What is your thing? Like, did you just throw it all the way?
Right now, yeah, I've thrown it all the way. I've thrown it all away. It's been bad. I mean, look, the pandemic affected a lot of people, and I actually applaud people that have been motivated through the pandemic to get out there and work out. It's been kind of sad lately.
So you do nothing.
It's hard to get motivated.
Yeah. You don't watch what you eat. You don't do.
I mean, do I want to eat healthy? Absolutely. But lately, I've been leaning more towards comfort. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
Leslie?
Yeah.
Yes, I have the little rebounder. We do a lot of walking. I do weights, squats. So I do something almost every day.
Yeah, you've always been very active.
Yeah.
It's just
It's a
finding
mental
the time.
thing. Finding
Yeah.
it, even if you do
Yeah.
it 20 minutes a day.
It's funny when you work out really good, you feel so good, and you say, "Why don't I do this all the time?"
Exactly.
And then you get in this habit. It's a good habit. When you drop off, you drop off.
Have any of
Yeah.
you tried fasting?
I've done that in the past, yeah.
I mean, we could have a whole easing on just the diets from the 80s through today, and
Totally.
the intermittent fasting that's happening right now, to the grapefruit diet back in the late 80s, and everything in between, because we've all seen that also. We've seen that whole spectrum of everything between foods and ways to fast and diet and different exercises to do, and even now the custom vitamins that are being made where you send a
Right.
swab from your cheek and then you get back a custom, personalized set of vitamins that are supposed to address the deficiencies in your body.
Which is pretty cool. I actually did
Yeah.
that one time. I had to pull a piece of hair and send it, and then they told me I was low on chromium and like one other thing, and I was like, oh, and so you just add it to your mix, which is interesting. But
Yeah.
I do fast twice a week for 24 hours. So for
That's-
24 hours, I don't eat anything, and then come back, right after 24 hours. So you don't really miss a meal a day because you have like
Right.
breakfast, and then you don't eat anything until the next day past that time, and then have breakfast. But you can't just go crazy and eat everything.
Can you drink anything?
Water, anything no calories. So tea with artificial sweetener, or Diet Coke, which doesn't have calories. So technically you could.
Cubby, when you get your colonoscopy, it's kind of like that.
Okay.
Exactly. But every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm due for one, so I'll
There
let
you
you
go.
know.
We're also going to talk a little bit about fashion in this week's episode. And Cubby, to your point, what we were just saying, workout clothes, what we've seen from the jumpsuits and onesies and unitards and bodysuits of the 80s are back, and they're not cheap. With new onesies coming out from stores like Lululemon and others as high as $300.
I knew you were going to say
Onesies.
Lululemon.
$300 for a onesie.
It's so funny. A lot of my friends are diehard Lululemon fans, and it's expensive.
You're going to say diehard onesie fans. But that right there, Steve, leading into that was the first time ever, and mark your record books, that the word fashion and cubby was used in the same sentence.
Yes, high five.
Very, very
True.
impressive.
True.
That's good to know. That's great.
But Cubby, you would look good in a hot fuchsia onesie.
Yeah, I'll try it. If it's the trend and all the rage, I'll give it a shot.
You would
That and a
totally
romper.
do it. You would totally do it. But how are they forcing this trend of onesies? Now, I'm all for the black yoga pants. Like, that
Yeah.
was a hot trend, especially when they had that little mishap when you could see through them. I mean, really hot trend. Time, you want to go to the gym when the sun's at 5 o'clock, because everyone on the treadmill, you just see everything.
Where did this onesie start? Yep.
I don't know. That sometimes trends shouldn't be started in the first place, in my opinion.
I think it's all these influencers these days. Someone posts it on TikTok or on Instagram, and they have, a million followers. The next thing we see, stores are selling out.
Yeah. Ugh.
And guys, next week we're going to talk about live concerts and everything, Live Aid starting in 85, and that's, that was in my backyard in Philadelphia, through what we're seeing as the comeback of concerts and shows, and some interesting ways that performers are now embracing the opportunity to have an online show across the world and drive new ways to generate both revenue as well as getting their music out. And I've got a trivia question for you, because I know everyone here is a music fan. Speaking of Live Aid, do any of you know who the performer that was in both London and then hopped on the Concorde and went over to Philly?
Ooh,
I
that's
remember
a
this.
Good question.
I've heard this.
Do we
Was
win
it
a prize?
Geldof?
Do we get a prize?
You get
I've literally heard this and I can't remember.
I didn't prepare a prize.
Is
Bob Geldof?
Nope.
He
Phil
was the
Collins?
he was the
Phil
organizer.
Collins, Cubby.
Oh,
Very good.
Phil
Cubby.
Collins? And I didn't look it up. I thought
Wow.
Bono or Phil Collins. Yes.
Good
Who was-
recall.
Who was killing it that year with the No Jacket Required album. So he didn't even need the publicity, but he was the artist that hopped on the Concorde and headed over to Philly after his set.
That London Philly flight really isn't that bad. People think it's so far
No,
away.
they make it sound so dramatic.
Right. Although Concorde did help.
Sure.
All right, Steve, we appreciate you. We'll see you in a month or so, and keep up with the Fast Times at thefasttimes.net. Thanks, Steve.
That sounds great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.